Lesson 13 deals with the future active and the future middle. The forms here are going to be very simple in one way, in that all you have to do for the future is to add a sigma to the present stem, and then you have the future stem. So the same endings, because remember we said last time all the endings you've had to learn, you've already learned. So now we're just going to add these endings on. So this is one of the times when we're going to coast a little bit in that respect. First we'll do the vocabulary. Paragraph 150, page 74 of Machen, and then be ready with page 27 and of the workbook. Ana vlepo, the future ana vlepso, I look up, I receive my sight. Now take these as two vocabulary words. Ana vlepo, I look up. Ana vlepso, I shall look up. Okay? Visame, I shall go, which is the future of veno. Now you have to watch that. That's an irregular verb, and we'll see what irregular means in just a little while. Yanisame, I shall become, is a future deponent of yiname, yanisame. Nosame, I shall know, is the future of yinosko. Didaxo, I shall teach, is the future of didasko. The oko and the okso, I pursue or I persecute. The oko is the present, I pursue. The okso, I shall pursue. Doxazo, the future doxaso, I glorify. Doxazo, I glorify. Doxaso, I shall glorify. Elevsome, I shall come or go. That's the deponent future of edikame. Edikame, elevsome. Elevsome, I shall come. Exo, I shall have. The future of echo. Note, that's a rough breathing mark. Exo, I shall have. Kiriso is the future, has a future kirixo, I proclaim. So kiriso, I proclaim. Kirixo, I shall proclaim. Limsome, I shall take, is the future of lamvano. Lamvano, I take. Limsome, I shall take. Prosevkame, or prosevksame, I pray. Prosevkame, I pray. Prosevksame, I shall pray. Tiflos, a blind man. Tiflos, a blind man. All right, that's the vocabulary. And we want to look at the forms now. As I said, the forms are rather simple. So we'll look at these right here on the board. Remember, Leo is I loose. Liso, I shall lose. Here's the thing we added. Same endings, OEC, omenetiusi, and the present stem with just that sigma. In the middle, we have the same thing. Lisome, just a sigma, and then the me, ite, metheste, unde. See how easy that is? Now, it's only middle. This is not middle and passive. The passive form in the future is an entirely different form. So, active, middle. Only adding the sigma to what you already have. Now, I'd like for us to see this on page 23 of the workbook. So, if you'll turn to that page, 23, we will put the future, active, and middle in that book. Right here, future tense. The active, see, you already have the present active here, OEC, omenetiusi. Now you have liso, EC, omenetiusi. You can also put in the middle forms that you have there in your book, page 154, or paragraph 154. Put those in here. Don't put anything there. We'll get that in chapter 16. But for now, just the active in the middle of the future. Those are the regular verbs. Now we want to look at the something that happens when you add that sigma. First of all, look at paragraph 156. Paragraph 156 says when you add the sigma to certain consonants, something happens. There is a contraction, and I refer to these personally as the single consonants and these as the double consonants. So we have the double labials, and P, B, and Phi. When you add the sigma, they become Psi. The kappa, gamma, Chi, when you add sigma, becomes Xi. Taf, delta, theta, when you add the sigma, actually they drop out and you wind up with sigma. So something happens then. You're still only adding the sigma. What you do is learn these forms and what happens when you add the sigma to them. These are all in the same family. You make these with your lips. P, b, f, and then you have a double labial, which is ps, ps, see? So you have these are the same one, p, b, f. Ones you make with your lips will become psi, because that's the double consonant that you make with your lips. Ps. This is more of a guttural, kappa, gamma, chi. Add with sigma, they become xi, all the kind. So you can put them together in that way. They sound the same. Add sigma, they become xi. Let's add a couple here. There's one, if you have a sigma, sigma. Now this is an addition of mine. And then we'll add one here, the zeta. Sigma, sigma, and kappa, gamma, chi. Now, this is just a little of a shortcut for Kiriso, but I think it does work. So if you have a sigma, sigma, and you add the sigma for the future, it becomes xi. The future of Kiriso is Kirixo, see? And the same is true here. For baptizo, the future of baptizo is baptizo, tiso. So the zeta just drops out, as does the tau, the delta, and the theta. Drop out before the sigma. So add these two to that, and I think it'll save you a little trouble that Machen gets into a little later. Now, that's two things that happen. First of all, when you make a future, you add a sigma, like we did with Leo. If that sigma follows a particular kind of consonant, it will double into another consonant. That's paragraph 156. There are other futures that are just plain irregular. There is no way that you can tell what they're going to be. And they're called irregulars. These others have been regular so far. What we've done so far is just a regular way. You can predict what it's going to be by looking at it. With the irregulars, you can't. Now, that's nothing unusual. Language is made up of irregularities. We have them in English, and so does Greek, and all other languages have them. If we don't have a future thing, because we use a helping verb for our future, but in the past we have the same kind of thing. Suppose you had a word like look. How do you make look into a past tense? Well, you just put an ed on it. Looked, see, ed. That's past of look. But if you had the word throw, the past of throw is threw. See? So this is an irregular verb. Now you can't look at throw and know that it's going to be irregular. There's nothing there to tell you. You can't look at look and know that it's going to be regular. There's nothing there to indicate that. The same is true of the Greek words. You can't look, for instance, at a Leo and know whether it's going to be regular or irregular. But once you know it's regular, then you can go down and put all the principal parts of Leo down. If you look at a word like Lambano, there's no way to tell that that future is going to be Limsame. Limsame. So, Lambano, Limsame. Now, this is a good time for us to talk about the principal parts. There are 6 of them. First is the present, the future, the aorist active, the perfect active, perfect, middle, and passive, same form, and the aorist passive. I'd like for you to get those down because you'll need them a little later on. Present, future, aorist active, perfect middle, aorist passive. Because when we talk about principal parts, we'll have to learn our words in that way. If it's regular, we'll know how to form them. It's a regular way of doing it. Just like in English, you put ed to make a past. In the aorist, the past time here, you put a sigma alpha. Same thing. You'll know that. Once you know it's regular, no problem. But if it's irregular, you're going to have to learn these irregular verbs, just like you did in English. Or did you? For instance, what about this word? Lie. What's the past tense of lie? If you lie today, what did you do yesterday? You don't know. Yes, you do. It's lay. Lie, lay. What's the present participle? Lying. What's the past participle of lie? Laying. Now, if you know the principal parts of lie, you can speak properly by saying, yesterday I lay down. You didn't lay down yesterday. You lay down yesterday. I have lain down many times. That's knowing the principal parts of lie. How about lay? Lay, laid, laying, laid. Okay. Now, this is as an intransitive verb, this is transitive. Now, all that means is that this will not take an object, this will take an object. So, if I talk about lying, if I say lie, I don't mean you don't lie the book on the table. You lay the book, see? Book is the object. Now, I laid the book down, see? So if it takes an object, it would be the form of lay. If it isn't that, then lie, meaning to recline, will be used. I'm going to lie down. You're not going to lay down because you're not laying anything down. I lay down my head, all right, fine. But lie down is reclining means this word. The only reason I'm telling you this is not to show you that I know English. I ought to know it. I'm supposed to be teaching it. But to show you that we do the same thing in English as we do in Greek. There are principal parts of verbs. When I was in college, I had to learn the principal parts of 83 English irregular verbs. See? Well, we had to learn the principal parts of 63 irregular verbs in order to have a good grasp of Greek. So we're going to begin with our principal parts by learning what they are. Learning that they are the present tense, the future tense, the aorist active, the perfect middle and passive, and the aorist passive. Those are the 6 principal parts, and that's what Machen is talking about in paragraph 159. He says the principal parts are 6 in number. Then he goes on through to name them. Now I'd like for you to look in the back of your book, in the back of Machen. There are 2 dictionaries back there. Actually, dictionary is not the right word. A lexicon, dictionary that goes from one language to another is a lexicon. If it goes same language, it's a dictionary. This is a lexicon. You have both Greek to English and English to Greek. Now the first section is on beginning page 255 is the Greek to English. Now if you look down there, you'll see, well, let's find an easy one. How about akuo? It's around the second column, first word. Akuo, that's the present, and he has them in order, 1 through 6, and that's why you have to learn them. Write them at the top of this page. Be a good place. All 6 of those principal parts, present, future, aorist active, and so forth. You see, akuo, that's the present. The second one is akuso, that's future. Ikusa, that's the aorist active. Akikoa, that's the perfect active. Ikusme, that's the perfect middle. And ikustin is the aorist passive. Now, if sometimes they don't have all 6 parts, one will be left out. He'll put a dash wherever there's a blank, wherever there isn't a part, it isn't used or isn't known, then he'll just stick a blank in. If it's one been left out. I don't see an illustration of that right at the present time, but they're there. Well, on page 258, eriro. He has eriro, iyera, and then a blank. There is no 4th principal part, in other words, to that word. Now, if he only has 4 with no blanks, then it's the first 4. that will be the case many times. So you need to have those names for the 6 principal parts so that when you look up a word, you want to know the future of a particular word, you look for the second part. If you want to know the aorist, the active, you look for the third, etc. That's what he's saying there in paragraph 161. If you want to look up the words, the meaning of they will begin, say you're in the English exercises and you want to look up they will begin, then you have to look up the word begin, and he tells you the steps. And you ought to go through those steps. I don't want to take the time here, but you'll know that look up the word begin. That will send you to article. Article will tell you it's in the middle. And then you look up the second principal part of article, and you'll find that it's there. Take the steps as he does, right through there, and he gives you 2 or 3 examples that you should follow out. Look at the page number, write it all down, and that will help you to use that, because up until now, if you haven't known the word, I know what you've been doing. You've been going and saying, well, I think that's in chapter 8. Let's see. No? Well, maybe it's in chapter 10. And you go hunting around, back and forth. Well, you don't need to do that. Look in the back. Look in the dictionary. Or, better still, learn it. Memorize it. Get your Greek cards out. Take them with you wherever you're going. Learn your vocabulary. And the ones you don't know, look up in the back and use that, because it's very helpful to you. If you don't know it, you'll have to look it up somewhere. Now, the future then, while it is simple in some ways, is going to give us some little troubles with the irregulars. Go back to the vocabulary. Let's look at those irregulars now in the light of what we just said. For instance, anavlepo, the future is anavlepso, not irregular. You're just putting a sigma with the P, and that makes psi, okay? Visome, on the other hand, is irregular. It comes from veno. There's no way to know that visome is going to be from veno. So, visome, veno. Yenisome comes from yinome, irregular. You just have to memorize it, learn it. In fact, in our 3rd semester of Greek, we require our students to learn the 63 verbs. That is, all the parts of 63 verbs. That's 63 times 6, more or less. That's a part of the 3rd semester assignment. Nosome, I shall know, from yinosko. Right? So you'll see the various ones that you can explain some are irregular. In the next line, you have the first one's irregular, alevsome, and then limpsome is irregular, and the rest are regular and predictable. You'll find some more. And next time, when we get to the aorist tense, that will be the 3rd principal part. We'll begin then to build some principal parts on one of the pages of the workbook. Till then, get your work done, your homework done, and work on these irregular verbs.